Ladies and gentlemen, it's Brandon here from the Pilot Stud channel. I do hope you're having a wonderful day. Now today, I am revisiting an add-on I took a look at a while ago, the LatinVFR Airbus A321NEO. Now admittedly, at the time, I was very negative about this payware product, but in fairness to the guys at LatinVFR, they have made it better since then, even introducing an EFB electronic flight bag, which some development teams can't seem to do nowadays. Now they have also been busy bringing in other members of the A320 family into Microsoft Flight Sim, from the A318 to the Airbus A320ceo. Now despite these improvements, all of these aircraft are still based on the default A320 systems by Asobo, and trust me, that leaves a lot to be desired for quite a few people. And that's where our friends at Horizon Simulations come in, with their free upgrades for these aircraft, taking them to the next level. If that sounds like something you're interested in, please do consider subscribing. Only 28% of you are, and it would be an honour to welcome many more of you on board. Now briefly backtracking to speak about the LatinVFR A321NEO without the Horizon Simulations improvement mod, which is the focus of this video. Well, at the time of the release, this aircraft certainly slotted quite nicely into a target market, as it has a relatively nice external model, a very good cabin to fit some passengers in, and some minor system tweaks such as MTOW capacity and flight characteristics for a rather cheap price, definitely appealing to a lot of those guys that fly on Xbox. And there's nothing wrong with that if you did enjoy flying it, but there was definitely a lot to be desired, at least for me. Now I should also add there's 4 variants of the A321NEO included, with 2 engine options and the long range variant of the A321. Now it was available for around $30 on both PC and Xbox, including on the marketplace, but I believe at the moment it's actually half price on said marketplace, which is a great saving. Now as I said, without enhancements, and I don't want to sound too snobby here, but these aircraft weren't too enjoyable to fly, and as a benchmark you probably wouldn't get away with it flying on VATSIM unless you got really lucky on a simple A to B flight, and that is where our friends at Horizon Simulations come in for those of us on PC who want to improve this airliner slightly. Now what they have done is pretty genius. They have brought in fly-by-wire systems into the LatinVFR A321NEO, and as well other variants by LatinVFR, although I haven't looked at them myself. And on top of the fly-by-wire systems, they have brought a whole host of changes and improvements, especially with their most recent version 2 improvement mod, from adding an EFB before LatinVFR got there themselves, to ground service X compatibility, meaning you can add realistic ground services to flock around your aircraft. To flight model changes, the list is pretty extensive, but one thing is for sure, this aircraft is great fun to fly now. Now of course it's not perfect, performance does take a slight hit because it's using more intensive systems, and indeed you do lose out on the LatinVFR cabin in the back because they are using some fly-by-wire textures, and that might be a big loss to some people, especially those that like to film cinematics in the back of the aircraft. Now I have been doing some test flights with it across Europe and North America and have been incredibly satisfied. I should be clear that they have not just ripped out the fly-by-wire A320 cockpit and placed it into the LatinVFR model, anything but that. They have just very nicely merged the two together, meaning you are getting the best of both worlds. Now in terms of installation, all you need to do is have an authentic copy of the LatinVFR A321NEO or an alternative model if you're using a different mod. You'll also need to install Fly-by-Wire's SimBridge software, which of course you can get for free, and into your community folder you'll need to drop the Horizon Simulations fly-by-wire compatibility mod, and that will do you. If you want to install the Ground Service X profile, of course you've got a different process associated with that follows the standard process for Ground Services X. Now taking a look at the Horizon Sim A321NEO in greater detail, the external model is pretty much the same. LatinVFR didn't do too bad of a job, but I would recommend getting some liveries off flightsim.to NEO, as the default ones aren't too good. Now hopping inside, the cockpit looks pretty good, and as I've already said in this video, utilises quite a few fly-by-wires textures inside there, as well as their new lighting model. But of course the real treat is systems. From a comprehensive MCDU or MCDU to near on seamless LNAV and VNAV autopilot integration. Quite simply, Horizon Simulations have integrated the very best of fly-by-wires, work near on perfectly into this airliner. On top of this all, the flight model has seen some changes compared to the LatinVFR base, and for those of you who are used to the A320, you'll certainly feel how much heavier this aircraft is when it comes to landing. Now, I always struggle to comprehend how realistic an aircraft feels to fly in the sim, as funnily enough I have never flown a real one in real life, or indeed have never flown an aircraft that utilises fly-by-wire flight control technology. But as the Horizon Simulations team, and for that matter the fly-by-wire team, have run this past real Airbus pilots, you can be pretty confident that this is a solid flight model. All in all, a glowing review goes to Horizon Simulations for doing an exceptional job on bringing this airliner up to standards. So is it worth your time? Should you bother add this to your LatinVFR A321NEO? And for that matter, does it mean that picking up the LatinVFR A321NEO may now be worth your time and money, going along with this freeware improvement mod, and version 2 of it for that matter? Well, in my opinion, yes. Regardless of what LatinVFR model you have purchased, they do go for pretty cheap. I think they, as I've said, there's a half price sale on at the moment, so that means you can pick up one of these Airbus airliners for around £10 to £12. And what Horizon Simulations have done, thanks to fly-by-wire, really does make them feel like brilliant standalone airliners. Now, I probably wouldn't go as far to say you should buy a LatinVFR aircraft at full price, because that is quite expensive, but if you can pick them up for cheap and install the Horizon Simulations improvement mod, then it is really great fun to fly. That being said, if you can't get it for cheap, I would recommend holding out and saving 20 quid more to go for the Phoenix A320, as that definitely remains top dog. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope you've enjoyed this comprehensive look at the LatinVFR A321NEO with version 2 of Horizon Simulations improvement mod. An absolute game changer. If you have enjoyed, be sure to like, comment and subscribe if you haven't done already. It is very much appreciated. But on that note, happy landings and bye bye.